Alright, so this video is gonna be a little different than all my other videos since I'm not playing games or none of that. Since it's Halloween, I thought it would be fitting to read some creepy pasta, and all links will be in the description. Jeez, okay, all links will be in the description below. If you want to read this story, go ahead. It's called Halloween Night. Um, uh, I'm gonna read the thing at the bottom. It's October 22nd, 2021. Um, uh, yeah, this when this kind of takes place. Um, so like I said, it's called Halloween Night. It's by Creepy Pasta, written by Dr. A.K. Stein. So the estimate reading time is 17 minutes. I got 30 minutes until I gotta go do something else, and I'm gonna read it while I play some games on my phone because I need content and I can't just be swinging a knife around every day hoping I don't get demonetized. Yeah, okay. So let's get started. I love you, Halloween. This exclamation 6-year-old Harry cried out to the night sky left his mother, Mrs. Jane Florence, reeling with laughter at the door. They'd just gotten home from trick or treating along with Harry's older sister, Sabrina, who was already inside calling for them to hurry up so the candy could be sorted. Halloween loves you too, sweetie, Jane called, chuckling in her Space Ranger costume. Harry turned to her, a wide smile over his zombified face, covered in white and black makeup that left his face ashen white with dark eye sockets and lips. Bits of red pigment dotted his mouth for a more realistic effect, as he demanded, though you'd be faded a bit, as Jade suspected the boy hadn't the self-control to keep from licking ketchup off his face. Okay, I'm gonna scroll down. So I'm gonna scroll down. All right. Um. So are we going to stay out here all night, or do you want some candy? Candy, the child cried, running up the steps. My mouse really does suck. Running up the steps, past their pumpkin decorated with sharp tooth smells and witch hats. He only stopped for one moment, mindful that none of his candy had fell off his orange pumpkin basket. Then something caught his eye. Another trick-or-treater on the sidewalk um, going by in a rather strange fashion. As he turned back to look, it was a mime, only 3 feet and a half tall, reaching his hand out, grabbing the air and pulling them back, as though to yank himself along an invisible rope. He wore black and white striped clothes and had on makeup similar to Harry's, though smoother and more refined, with black lines running down over the boy's eyes. Happy Halloween! Harry cried out, waving. Scrolling down. The mime stopped for a moment, leaned back, casually, at a strange angle, as though the air held him, and returned the wave with a grin. That's cute. Okay. Okay, so I'm getting a little more broke in this game. Okay. Alright. Look at him, Harry called to his mother, chuckling. It's a real mime. Damn right. Oh, his mom said, looking back outside the door. Oh, that's cute. She laughed, though after a moment, a frown crept across her lips as she looked around. I don't see his parents. The man was already on the move again, heading further down the street with his invisible rope. Jane followed along with her eyes. Harry looked up at her sister, concerned by the tell of her curled lips. I'm drinking coffee, by the way, cause I'm thirsty. Um, they're probably somewhere else on the street, he said. Look, that's probably them. Um, he pointed at another family coming up the sidewalk. Two pirate parents with a kid wearing a shark costume far too big for them. The shark maw that they should have. What the shark? The shark's maw that should have been where the child's face would popped out, jutted well above the child's head, pointed to the sky with its sharp teeth, and their parents had to guide them along. The sight of such a costume got a laugh out of Jane, but still her gaze immediately returned to where she saw the mine gone now. Come on, Harry, complained, tugging her hand. I want to eat my candy. She sighed as the family with the shark passed by the house in the same direction as the mine went, then smiled Harry. All right, she said, closing the door. Looks like you were right. Get over here, you slugs. 9-year-old Sabrina called from the kitchen. You're wasting my candy time. Candy time, Harry chanted, gobbling into the kitchen. Sabrina sat at the head of the table, her candy piled in front of her like a hoard of gold. She was a scarecrow with a straw hat over her head, wearing a blue jumper with straws sticking out of her jacket sleeves, and across the table was their dad, Mr. Dan Florence, who held little baby Patricia asleep in her pickle costume. Oh, a pickle costume, I love that. Um, uh, Harry, he called out as his son ran in. How much candy did you get? A whole lot. Oh, I bet. He chuckled. He was wearing a black suit with a cape, vampire dentures in his mouth. Ahaha. He laughed like a Dracula. Oh, I should have probably said it with more enthusiasm. Ahaha. He laughed like Dracula. Give all your candy to me, my zombie minion. Never, you old corpse, Harry snapped, running into his place at the table and slamming his basket of candy down. He bounced in his chair like a happy puppy. Alright, dig in, guys, Jane declared, and the children tore into their candy, leaving ripped wrappers strewn across the table as they devoured chocolates, gummies, Twizzlers, and the like. How's your little pickle been? Jane asked, bending over to give her husband a kiss. Oh, they're married? Oh, I thought they were like a babysitter or something. Okay, out like a light. She really wore herself out before when we got this on her. Oh, poor thing, Jane said, touching the baby's cheek. She really didn't want to be put into the pickle. I think she likes it though, Dan chuckled. She probably throw another tantrum when we get it off her. Yeah, probably, Jane responded warily. She looked to the candy, devouring monsters, and smiled. How's your haul this year? Sabrina held a thumbs up out, chewing a whole chunk of chocolate bits. Bits of it smeared across her lips. Harry was in the middle of sucking on a lollipop. He took a moment to speak, whirling it. The best one yet, he exclaimed. Oh, jeez, I gotta scroll down again. Damn, he exclaimed and snatched a candy bar from his basket. Look at this Hershey's bar. It's one of the big ones as he held it out in front of him, proud as though it was a fish he caught. Oh, look at that, Jane said with a smile. You really did good this year. Yup, and he sucked on the lollipop for a bit more. Did she the mime that? He blurted out. A mime? No, but it sounds creepy. Creepy, Harry cried. No, I'm the creepy one. Mimes are funny. You're a creep, Sabrina commented, sticking out her tongue blue from a piece of gum. They give gum in trick or treat baskets? Okay, fun fact, I've never been trick or treating in my life for like the 12 years of my life. I've never been trick or treating at all. Odd, I know. It's Halloween, you're supposed to be a creep. Not every costume has to be scary. Yes, they do, Harry said, offended. And your stupid scarecrow costume isn't scary at all. Hey, James said firmly, stupid is an ugly word. You don't want to have to go to bed early, do you? No, Harry said, his tone immediately changing to meek as he what the I swear to God, it's like a bird outside. Uh, okay. No, Harry said, his tone immediately changed to meek as he turned back to his candy. Sabrina smirked at him, satisfied. Now, Sabrina, don't tease him, Dan said. You two start arguing, and then his voice switched to Dracula again. Your candy will all be mine. No, the children shrieked. You can't do that, Harry insisted. Yeah, Sabrina went on the force of her shriek before had what the yeah, Sabrina went on. The force of her shriek had made her straw hat fall off, exposing her curly blonde hair. We have rights. The Constitution said so. Oh, not according to the parenting rule book. That book doesn't exist, Sabrina accused. Yeah, we've never seen it. Kids aren't allowed to see it. Dan flashed a sly grin. Article 15. That's a little balcony. Say what? Say what you want, Dan shrugged. The book is absolute. Well, if you take my candy, Harry threatened, the Hollow Man will come after you. Oh, who's the Hollow Man? Dan asked, amused. Yeah, tell us about him, Jane encouraged. It's a ghost, Harry said, doing his best at making a low, ominous voice. Oh, okay. He's a ghost, Harry said, doing his best to make a low, ominous voice. He got grounded for too long and starved to death as he followed around bad parents who are mean to their kids. Sure, go off, Harry. Oh, should I be scared? Dan asked, flashing his fake fangs. Yes, Harry said sharply. He'll follow you to the to the ends of the earth, and when he finds you, he can't turn your back to him. You can't turn back to. Oh God, my reading sucks. And what happens if I do turn my back to him? He'll kidnap you. Oh no, that sounds bad. But that's not the worst part. It gets worse. How much worse? Harry went on. He'll lock you up in a car. He'll give you a fate worse than hell. Sure. Or what does he do when you're in a car? Jane questioned, egging on him. For the rest of eternity you have to listen to, and he paused for effect. Country music. How dare you, Sabrina screeched, and the parents bent over cackling. That sounds terrifying, Dan exclaimed. No, it doesn't. Sabrina insisted. Country is great. Country's music is great. Country music sucks, Harry countered. Sabrina grunted. Your taste sucks. I might be a psychopath, but I kind of like country music coming from a person that's Asian. Okay, anyways, let me continue. Um, I think what the I think you're in the minority here, Sabrina, Jane chuckled. All your taste sucks. I'm the only one in this darn house that knows what good music sounds like. She threw a dark piece of candy at Harry. You have to eat the black Twizzler now. Ew, he cried, swatting it away. You'll give me the plague. What? Dan exclaimed. Black Twizzlers are great. I'll eat it if you don't want it. Twizzlers are one of my least favorite candy. Okay, anyways. Well then, get it out of your sight. Harry tossed it over to him. Don't mind if I do, Dan said, licking his lips as he undid the wrapper. Yum. And he bit half of it off. That's gross, Harry complained. It's 'cause he likes his coffee black, Sabrina explained. As though it was scientific fact. His taste buds died long ago. Ha, that's taste buds are dead. Hey, Dan said with a hurt voice, uncool. And they laughed, continuing to dig into their candy, enjoying their last moments of this Halloween night. Okay. I think they have to be a part two. This is really long, anyways. Uh, Harry was in bed now, lying against his pillow in a ghost pajamas, ready for sleep. Uh, he insisted on keeping the zombie makeup on till tomorrow, allowing that was what? Allowing that was all his parents could do to bargain with him not to eat all his candy in one night. So he lay there waiting to drift off, wishing for his Halloween to be even better, for his next Halloween to be even better. Okay. As consciousness left him, there was a knock at the front door. It sounded like footsteps coming to answer. He didn't hear what happened after that. Late in the night, Harry awoke, startled by a sudden rapping on his door. Damn, rapping? Oh, who's rapping at his door? Okay. He set out growling like the zombie he was dressed as. And there it was again. Three curt knocks at his bedroom door. Turned to the doorway. His gaze turned to the doorway. A painful sensation in his eyes from being awoken so late. Mom, is that you? He called. There was a silence. Harry lied back down with a sigh. A dream, maybe, he thought. Bang, bang, bang. The knocking returned, even louder now. Harry sat back up and got down from the bed. That better not be you, Sabrina, he warned. You're trying to scare me. I'll tell Dad. He'll take all your candy. That sounded so bad. He walked across to the door and shivered. There was a strange coldness in the room, as though the chill air from outside had crept in. With a trembling hand, Harry reached out for the doorknob. He stopped with his fingers on the cold steel, with his eyes still adjusting to the darkness. He noticed all the dark shapes about his room, and the thought occurred to him: what if it's a monster? Goose flesh broke off his skin. His hair stood up. He noticed his heart was beating faster, his breathing grew hoarse as he stared down the door. I'm not scared, Sabrina, he lied. As there was no response, just dead silence. He waited 10 seconds, 20, 30, for more knocking. Anything, paying no mind to the cold numbness slowly overtaking his head. Finally, after what felt like hour-long minutes, he turned the doorknob and opened the door. "Oh, it's you," his voice surprised, yet tinted with relief. It was the mime. What the? What do you mean, oh, it's you? A person's at your bedroom door that you don't even know. Jesus Christ. Um, anyways. "Oh, it's you," his voice surprised, yet tinted with relief. It was the mime standing before him in the door. He was just about Harry's height, wearing oversized baggy pants that trailed down past his feet. His hair was slicked back over his head, as black as the makeup covering his dark eyes. The mime gave him yet a crescent smile and put a pale finger tipped with a black nail to his lips, a signal to hush. "Why you here?" Harry whispered, nodding. "And why do you have to knock so loud?" The mime moved to the right, beckoning Harry to follow, and walked over towards the kitchen. Harry leaned out of his room, watching him move down the hallway. How do you even get in? He thought. And why no one else is up? He looked at the rooms adjacent to him, Sabrina to the right, and his parents and the baby in front of him. The doors were both closed, and there was nothing in the darkness behind the cracks. Did no one else hear? He started towards his parents' door. If everyone needs to be up, it was them. Okay. Starting to get creepy here, alright. Okay. But just when he reached for the door, a hand burst out from the darkness, grabbing hold of his wrist. It was the mime. Harry opened his mouth, ready to scream. There was a small object that was tossed into his gullet. A burst of flavor invaded his throat. It was a sweet taste like chocolate, with crackling intensity that woke his sleepy mind up immediately. The best candy he'd ever tasted. He chewed and chewed, savoring the smooth, gummy texture, and looked at the mime, smiling brightly. The mime held up more candies, nodding to Harry to take them. He snatched them greedily, lapping them up for their heavenly taste, and the mime led him away down the hall towards the kitchen, swaying unsteadily as though he was walking a tightrope. Harry tried to mimic the movement, still overcome by the taste of candy, um, almost tumbling over with a laugh. The mime caught him, and Harry saw his black lips flip open and close as though to laugh, but no sound came out. True to his costume, the mime was utterly silent. Harry didn't notice, but the mime didn't even make noise as they ran towards the kitchen. Even a floorboard. Not even a floorboard creaked under his careful feet. Okay. They got to the kitchen, and the mime came to a sudden halt, stumbling back from the doorway and falling over as though he ran into an invisible wall. "Wow," Harry laughed, "you're really good at this." The mime responded with a silent, laughing lip motions against the rose. Again, and rose. What is wrong with my reading? Okay. Um, though not in any way that he could describe as normal. It was as though he had wires raising him up. He didn't use his hands at all. In fact, his whole body remained straight up and rigid, rotating upwards. Harry clapped awkwardly. The feat was impressive, yet it seemed so inhuman, as if the mind had used magic to levitate. He didn't laugh this time, and a frown crept over his face. The man had a slouch now, yet strangely his eyes still never met Harry's in an equal height, and there was a bit of drool secreting from his lips. A chill ran down Harry's spine, and he trembled. Okay, something was very wrong here. He knew it, but he couldn't quite put it into words. And the events since he'd woken up was like a lucid dream, absolutely unnatural, but it was enough normalcy to seem real. It was then that he noticed the front door wide open, letting all the heat out. The porch lights were out, and he saw outside was rustling leaves under the pale moonlight, obscured by the cloudy night. He would have realized in it earlier if the house wasn't already so cold, but he had been so caught up in the antics that he completely missed it earlier. "Why's the door open?" he asked, and the mime flashed a sinister frown. Okay, okay. Uh, did you? Okay, this is getting interesting. I'm gonna reread that part actually. Um, if my mouse can even scroll down. Okay. "Why's the door open?" he asked, and the mime flashed a sinister frown. "Did you?" At the moment, the mime moved with an unnatural quickness, putting his face directly in front of Harry's. He looked the mime straight in the eyes, cold dark, and he didn't have the vocabulary to verbalize it. He knew intuitively it looked like a feral. I don't know all these white terms, but in an instant the mime's face brightened up and smiled sharply. He gestured towards the kitchen doorway and led by the hand. Harry followed, too frightened to resist. Though, as soon as he entered the kitchen, the tension felt somewhat relieved. On the table was a colossal hoard of mineral candy, whatever that is. Such a dense powder you couldn't see the wood underneath. And over the counter was a stack of square cardboard cutouts. The mind grabbed them as Harry ogled the candy. What kind of vocabulary is this? Anyways, can I have some? Harry asked, turning to the mind with a nervous smile. The mind held out one of the cardboard pieces, it reading in big black letters, "Ta-da!" And the mind threw it with unnecessary gusto, tossing it behind him and into the sink. The next piece of cardboard read, "My name's Samuel. Do you want to be my friend?" Harry laughed, a bit more uncomfortable now. Sure, he said, and Samuel grinned, making his silent laugh again. They sat down at the table and dug into some candy. Somehow it tasted even better than before. It was like eating pure sugar mixed with the richest taste and smoothest textures imaginable. At all the cold that had crept into the house seems to have faded now. This was his heaven. He guzzled the candy down like it was water from the fountain of youth. "It's great, isn't it?" Another of Samuel's signs read. Mm-hmm. Harry mumbled, stuffing his face with a chocolate bar bigger than his hand. "Where'd you get all this?" Samuel tossed the previous sign aside and flipped over another. "The circus," Harry gasped. "You work at a circus?" I don't know why I said it like that. Anyway, Samuel nodded, grabbing six spherical candy off the table, jawbreakers, and he started juggling them. He went up in the air and came back down with rapid cycle. Sorry, they went up in the air and came back down with rapid cycle. Harry could barely keep track of them in the dark, yet Samuel kept it up, tossing them into the air over and over again in a circular motion. The dexterity and skill in his technique were incredible. A marvel to watch. For the finale, he threw them all up into the air at once and caught them in his mouth. Harry started clapping earnestly, though his smile faded at the crunching noise that followed. Samuel started chewing six jawbreakers all at once, casually, as much ease as Harry would have eating M&Ms. Uh, I need to suck on one for a good 10 minutes at least before I chew on it. Harry thought, disturbed. How's he doing that? Okay. Uh, do you have parents? He blurted out, and Samuel smiled, swallowing with a hearty gulp. As he repeated the process of changing signs, the silence of the moment restored a bit of reality in this situation. The cold and dark crept in once more, and the sweet taste of candy began to fade. Uh, Samuel got got his next sign out, showing it with a grin. They died in a trapeze accident. Oh shit, that's sad. Okay. Those words left Harry reeling with fear. He gulped down the last bit of candy that was in his mouth, but the flavor suddenly changed. It became rancid and sour. The taste made him gag. Samuel seemed to smile even wider. Then he flipped through another sign. I ran away a few months ago. Ever since, I've been wandering the streets looking for someone to be my friend. He tossed it aside, brought out the next. Someone like you. Harry reached for more candy, shoving it in his mouth, desperate for the flavor to return. It didn't. In fact, it grew worse. The texture turned gelatinous, and the taste of coarse iron, and the temperature went from cool to warm, warm like flesh. It was blood. He spat it out immediately, heaving over the table. His eyes were wide with terror, his heart going a million paces a second. Yet Samuel didn't react. He just kept on eating candy, flipping through his signs. Did you know why I ran away? He went on. Harry's gaze remained locked on the mime, and his signs as he trembled, too horrified to turn away and too disgusted now even look at the candy. No one in the circus liked my voice. No one except the clown, Mr. K. He's one of my friends. He turned to another side. He always taught me to smile, but then he left. He had other shows to work under. Okay. That's getting a little creepy right there. Um, he's very good with disguises, so I haven't been able to find him. He threw this sign and snatched the gumball from the table. Shouldn't eat more candy, and he shoved the gumball in Harry's mouth. Um, it was a putrid taste, even worse than the last. It was cold, slimy, and strangest of it all, salty. The oh, Jesus, salty. Okay, the texture was nothing like the hard gumball he'd expected. No, it was squishy and more like a grape. He spat it out in an instant, falling back on his chair and yelped, "Mommy, Daddy, help me! Help me!" Okay. And on the floor, the candy rolled in front of his face. It was a raw human eyeball, green like his mother's. Oh shit, that's bad. That's bad. He shrieked at the sight of it. It tortured. She shrieked at the sight of it, a tortured, high-pitched sound. And the mime stood over him with another sign and something else in his left hand, something meaty. But Harry didn't notice. He was curled up in shocked fear, screaming, his voice hoarse. I don't know what that even means. Anyways, there was a crunchy snap and an object fell to Harry's side, wet, soft, and fleshy. With one look at it, Harry convulsed and shrieked as though he'd been electrocuted. It was a half-eaten hand, bleeding all over his arm. Blood dripped down into the floor in a small puddle around the mime, uh, secreted, secreted from its twisted smile. The mime stood tall over him, at least 5 feet high now. "If you want to be my friend, you have to hear my voice," the next sign read. The mime tossed it aside. Harry backed away, crawling back like a crab. "Do you want to hear my voice?" "No!" Harry cried, tears flowing down his face. "No, go away!" And the mime's smile returned to a frown. He threw the sign this time straight at Harry's head. It hit with unexpectedly strong force, leaving Harry on his back, clutching his forehead. "Do you want to hear my voice?" the next sign repeated. "Stop," Harry pleaded, and the sign struck his face again. "Do you want to hear my voice?" Go away," he cried, holding his head, bleeding where the sign had struck him. He braced when the next blow would come. His eyes locked shut, but it didn't. Instead, there was a silence, and dark liquid began dripping from his hands, seeping between his fingers. Okay. Oh God, his mind repeated in dread. He tore his hands back in disgust, and he saw above him the mind's face leering